TG Geeks, episode 184, August 27th, 2018. What about Grecian vampires? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the two gay geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona, and I need to cough.
And I'm Ben Raggington, coming to you from allergy-ridden in August?
Yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona. That's why Keith had to hit the cough button, because for some reason...
Scratchy throat.
Well, things are blooming. You were saying earlier we had rain.
Yeah, we've had
lots of rain this summer.
Lots of rain this summer. It's been a very, very wet
very wet monsoon.
I'm sure we've probably already gotten the annual rainfall.
I didn't bother to look.
Anyway, so we have a really interesting interview for you now, so we're just going to get right to it. And this time we have a special guest all the way from
Egypt.
Egypt, and truly Egypt, not the
we're not being
metaphorical Egypt.
Literally.
We have the writer-director of With a Kiss I Die, and his name is Ronnie Khalil. And welcome to the show, Ronnie.
Thank you. Pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah. So tell us who is Ronnie Khalil, and what's going on, and how did you get into the directing business? I know you've kind of been in show business before, but tell us how that all came about and your history.
Well, I was a stand-up comedian for many years, and I was performing mostly in New York, Miami, LA, and then I have an Egyptian background. Both my parents are Egyptian, and after the unfortunate events of 9/11, there was more of a focus on the Middle East, and, our comedy was used as a bridge to try to understand, not only the Middle East, but for the Middle East to also understand and, hopefully relate more to the West. And so I started performing around, the world, and a lot of shows in the Middle East, from Lebanon, Cairo, Kuwait, Jordan, and, just really took off from there. And during that time, I was trying to write shows and movies. I had a romantic comedy that I wanted to create, which was sort of like my Big Fat Greek Wedding for the Middle East.
Uh-huh.
And so I wrote that as a vehicle for me to star in it. And we had a production company with probably the most famous Middle Eastern director, at the time. He had won like the Palme d'Or and Cannes and all this. And then unfortunately he passed away. Ooh. And so I was back trying to get funding, and then I got funding from one of the richest people in the Middle East. And then the revolutions happened.
Oh dear.
So that got put on hold. So, it's one of those projects that's just sort of like cursed from the beginning, I guess. But it got me into writing films and really enjoying structure, and so I decided to create a film with a friend of mine. We wrote it in like 3 days. It was called You Can't Kill Stephen King.
Oh wow!
And it was a horror comedy. And it was raining, and we were on a lake where Stephen King has a house in Maine. We're like, wouldn't it be funny if Stephen King was basically murdering people to keep the place quiet? And so we came up with the movie idea. We were in 2.5 days, 3 days, something like that. It was 40 pages long, and somehow we got someone to invest a very little bit of money into it. They're like, oh, this is so much money. It's more than enough to make a film, because we're stupid. And it wasn't enough. We knew nothing about it. And somehow we pulled it off and sold it to like 12, 13 countries, and it's on Amazon Prime now, and that sort of launched me into the writing directing gig.
Very interesting. So tell us, why are we talking to you today? Well, I mean, duh, besides just because, but what is the impetus, what is the impetus for talking to you today? And because you have a big project that's about to be released.
I do. I have a new film, which I am a writer, director, and producer on, as the indie film world goes, and catering and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the production
the
assistant.
film's called With a Kiss I Die. And production assistant, my own assistant to Mr. Khalil. But yeah, it's called With a Kiss I Die, and it is a interracial lesbian Shakespearean vampire movie.
Wow!
And,
that's a mouthful.
Yeah, and we didn't intend it that way. This is one of those films where, just serendipity kind of takes over, and you end up meeting people who you want to cast and you like, and the project just sort of takes a life on its own. For me, I'm pretty open. If it sounds like a good idea and it moves with the story and it helps it along and it makes it more organic, then, why not?
Yeah. We just recently talked to an author that he was trying to write this book, and it wasn't happening, and it wasn't happening. And then he realized that the two characters were gay. And so once he made the two characters gay, the story wrote itself. So
this is kind of how we did it. It was originally, so the idea was brought by our contributing writers, Barbara Leibel and James Ory, and they had come up with this idea of Juliet Capulet from Romeo and Juliet, and basically she gets reborn as a vampire, and they had written it as a comedy, which was sort of like a My Fair Lady type comedy.
Oh dear.
And yeah, and for some reason, the whole idea of Juliet being forced to live forever after she had her soulmate die on her, basically for, where she would blame herself for it at the age of 13, at such a young age. How would you move on in your life from that event?
Right.
And if you were forced to live forever, if you only get one soulmate and they died when you were 13, then how bitter or morose or, dejected would you be? So, I sort of gravitated towards a very dark aspect of it. And I spoke to them and I said, would you guys mind if, we make this as sort of a drama? And they were like, no, we like the idea. So we sat down and brainstormed and ended up making it a very dark romance between a boy and a girl, Juliet, and a love interest that she meets. And during the casting process, we were, casting, and we found a number of girls who we really liked. None of the guys were clicking with the role. They were talented, but for some reason it just wasn't meshing. And my casting director turns to me and says, look, if we like all the girls, why don't we have the girls read it? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, not that I'm against it, but I feel like I brought all these actresses here for a role, and now I'm going to be like, so you guys mind being, lesbians? And I was really worried about it. And we had another one of my friends, and she was in the room, and she's like, no, I think you should do it. I was like, all right, well, I have your approval. Let's give it a go. And I spoke to a few of the actresses, and they were like, yeah, definitely. It sounds awesome. I was like, okay. And we had two of the girls read the script, and for the first time in the entire casting process, the script popped.
Wow.
And we were like, oh, I guess we're making a LGBTQ film, right?
There we go.
And then
with some of those Lebanese
right.
women, they're Middle Eastern.
Oh,
I couldn't resist. Sorry,
yeah, bypass that joke.
That's all right. That's quite all right. But yeah, and then we ended up, trying to figure out who our Juliet was going to be. And I had interviewed a couple of actresses, and then my director of photography and one of the producers on the project, Jorge Valdesiga, he had a friend who he said, look, she wants to try out. She read the script, and I was like, sure. So she came in, and it was Ella Kweku, who plays our lead in Juliet, and she's African-American, and she killed it.
Wow.
She absolutely, it was the role. And I was like, all right, then there we go. And, so now it was sort of, how do you turn the script that we had written into a, lesbian romance? And I kind of went back and forth with it because I didn't want to have, I didn't want to be the guy who brings sort of the straight guy's version of what, lesbian romance is.
Right.
It just, I didn't want to,
You didn't want to be that
and
guy.
So I was really worried. I'm sorry, say that again?
You didn't want to be that guy.
No, and at the same time,
I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah, when you do something like that, you also run the risk of being accused of pandering, and clearly that's not something you want to do either.
Yeah, so it was a delicate spot. So ultimately, after talking to a few people, we said, why are we changing the love story? It's a love story. It doesn't matter if it's boy, girl, 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 boy, boy.
Right.
So ultimately, we didn't change any of the romance between them. All we did was I changed the character who is basically the nurse, Romeo and Juliet. Originally, it was supposed to be a 55-year-old Southern woman, and I ended up changing it to this young, really tall, very foreboding Greek man.
Ah.
And all of a sudden, the relationships changed because of that, but the relationships between our two leads didn't. So it really brought this weird sort of, artsy, moody, just odd mixture to the Romeo and Juliet story. And everyone pretty much loved it. And then once we found our nurse character played by George Kopsidis, everyone was like, oh yeah, we get it. Mm-hmm. He was a 6'8" former European basketball player.
Holy moly.
Just like this giant man with this incredible mustache. And he wanted to play sort of this vain character, so he started taking like these silk bathrobes and putting them on. And it was just this magical, like you didn't know what to make of him. And it was beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
So in doing this story, because you said it's a new take on Romeo and Juliet, is it safe to say that our love interest characters, they're from different sides of the track? Otherwise, how do you have that theme, correct?
Yeah, I mean, and that was one of the reasons for the vampires, is because now you have humans and vampires, essentially a vampire family that doesn't approve of the human choice.
Oh, I see now.
Well, that kind of adds a whole new wrinkle to the whole vampire myth alone. I mean, we've seen so many past stories where the idea of a vampire bringing somebody over just so they can be with them, I mean, that goes back to Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
And, so...
Go ahead.
Believe me, like at first I was hesitant to make a vampire love story, right? Because everyone was like, "Oh, you're making Twilight." I was like, no, but I guess yes. I mean, it's
just without the sparkle.
Love story, I guess.
Just no sparkly.
Yeah, exactly. No sparkling. But I thought it was a much darker version. It's definitely its own take. We bring some of our own vampire lore to it. There's some interesting revelations about vampires in the film.
Interesting.
But I think we try to honor, the vampire fans as well as the film itself. Again, I was sort of hesitant to make a vampire film, and my script doesn't have the word vampire in it at all. But it's clearly a vampire film. Like you can't run away from it.
Right.
At first I was like, no, it's it's another type of film. But no, it's a vampire love story.
Right.
And now after watching it and watching it with some vampire fans, I was like, cool, we made a vampire story.
It's a vampire lesbian love story.
Yeah, as you said, that's a mouthful.
That's Shakespearean.
Yeah, that's exactly. And it was filmed in Greece, so it's a Greek tragedy.
Oh dear!
It's a Greek tragedy.
It's a Greek tragedy. Great. So, how long of a production time was it to make this film?
We shot over the course of around 21 days or so. Wow. I mean, our schedule was really hectic. We were jumping from one island to the next. In true indie style, we were figuring out our locations as we go along. I mean, my script was basically somewhere pretty, night. And
that's anywhere.
Basically wherever. Yeah. And we would find the place that sort of suited a scene. We go, oh, this scene's going to work. And we tell the actresses, all right, you got 10 minutes to, get this scene going. And so for that, very high pressure, but they did amazing, and they were super flexible. And because we wanted to capture the beauty of Greece, we shot during sunrises and sunsets.
Oh, wow.
Which, it sounds great, but when you're trying to get a
It's kinda
a
tough.
small indie crew to wake up at 4 a.m. and then stay awake and shoot again at 8 p.m., well, it becomes a challenge. And,
Right.
your actresses, you're like, you look lovely, you look gorgeous. And they're just like, where are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but wouldn't that add to the whole vampire myth, I would think, if they just look all sour?
I mean, yeah, but unfortunately the recent vampire movies make everyone look amazing all the time.
Right.
And luckily they looked amazing all the time, but it was a challenge, I mean, they have to get their hair and makeup ready an hour or so before, and it was a rough shoot, but every once in a while you just raise your head and you look up and you're like, "Oh my goodness, we're in Mykonos or we're in Santorini. This is incredible."
I would assume that there were some challenges, as you said, you're going out, you're scouting locations. Is it safe to assume that this movie was, shot way the heck out of order?
Yeah. It was based on what we were able to get in what city. There was a few days where we were in Athens and waiting for people and, trying to coordinate schedules with all our Greek actors. We had some phenomenal Greek actors from theater and film and stage. And so their, schedules were rough to get in. So, if we were shooting in Athens and we're trying to pretend it's Santorini, then we have to shoot whatever's indoors in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
So there was definitely logistical challenges, but at one point we're like, all right, we knew the script so well and we had rehearsed with the actresses before. So at least they knew where they were and what they were going to be doing at a certain time.
Okay, that was my
helped.
next question, because I was wondering, I mean, granted, that's more of a question that's geared towards an actor as opposed to a director, but one of the concerns or not quite concerns, but one of the curiosities I have is when you're filming something like this, where do you find yourself in the character's arc? And I was curious as to what kind of challenges there were there. But as you said, they all knew their characters rather well through rehearsal, so they were able to jump right into wherever they were at that stage of the character's life.
Yeah. And we would talk about it the night, before or the morning of in the car ride, and it'd be like, hey guys, remember this is a scene after this scene, and you just realized this, and we would have these sort of questions and answers before we got on set, but it was still quite a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just getting in that headspace and going, one day we're shooting a love scene, where they're falling in love, and then the next day, is the, a major horrific event happens, and you're, in tears. So it was tough for them.
So the movie being done, how long ago was it finished? And I assume you're just taking it around the independent film circuit, correct?
That's what I was going to ask. Did it do a film festival circuit, or?
We didn't do a film festival circuit. We actually got distribution from Gravitas Ventures early on in the process.
Oh, wow.
And we said, this is what we want. And we're releasing at the end of the month, and we're releasing on video on demand, DVD and Blu-ray. I think we're in Target, Barnes and Noble. We're releasing USA and Canada on almost all the major cable networks,
wow.
Comcast and DirecTV. And
that's a pretty broad distribution. That's great.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I have a list of the partial list right now, and it was something like 40 countries. So excited, yeah.
Well, that's incredible. So, what's next for you after this film is done?
Right now, actually producing my cousin's film. He's a very talented commercial director here in Egypt, and I'm going to be working with him on a Arabic film. And I can't give too many details about that,
that's okay.
but it's it's going to be very interesting. And I also spend my summers here in Cairo. I'm actually working on my first novel, it's a 4-part young adult fantasy, like magic series. So I just started that.
Nice.
And that's last year. The last few years, I was teaching film at universities, various universities, doing visiting professorships, and working as an instructor. And this year, I have off, so I'm going to be pursuing these film projects and my book.
Cool. Very nice. So, for anybody who wants to learn more about you and where you're going with your career, because obviously you've got your fingers in a lot of different pies right now.
And a film.
So where can they learn more about, before this movie comes out, although by the time this interview comes out, the movie will be out anyway.
No, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
August 28th.
Yeah.
That's
August 28th.
Yeah. So,
and it's already available pre-sale on iTunes.
Okay, so you got that. And if people want to learn more about you, any kind of social media presence, being any place on the intertubes, Facebooks, Twitters, Instagrams, any place like that.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Ronnie Khalil, and you can learn more about the film withakissidie.com, as well as Instagram withakis_film. And I have my production company, which is clownfishproductions.com. So, yeah, it's you'll find me somewhere.
Outstanding.
Well, this has been really a fascinating chat with Ronnie Khalil, the director, writer, producer, production assistant, janitor of With a Kiss I Die. Thanks for being on the show with us.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Hi, this is Rusty Manuel, director of PJ, The Legends of Nathaya and Occupants, and you're listening to the Two Gay Geeks podcast.
And here's a few selected birthdays for August 27th through September 2nd, 2018. Well, actually, we missed a couple of birthdays on the 26th. I don't know, Facebook being weird. I'm sorry. SF Edwards, or Sean from Edwards, a friend of ours on Facebook, and has written a number of novels, sci-fi novels, on the 26th. And also James Freitas. Happy birthday to both of
James
them.
and Sean.
Yeah, happy birthday. August 27th, we have Paul Rubens and Vic Mignogna. August 28th, Armie Hammer, Amanda Tapping, Billy Boyd, and yes, I'm going down in alphabetical order.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. And then we skip to the J's. Jack Kirby, Carl Burham, who is a famed opera, or not opera, but
composer.
Not conductor, not composer. And then Umberto Giordano, who is a opera composer. Dang, I get confused. August 29th, Robin Leach, who actually just died the other day.
Yeah, I just read that.
Yeah, it was
sad.
Really sad. And Michael Jackson, Dinah Washington, and Charlie Yardbird Parker. Arizona Opera is doing the Charlie Parker opera, Yardbird. Charlie Parker's Yardbird in November. Also on August 29th, Chris Pine, Mark Hughes, and Daniel Hughes.
Okay, now, these are my brothers, and wow, they got birthdays on the same day?
Yeah, they're twins. How about that?
Is that it?
Yeah, that's what it is. And Christine Shandell. August 30th, Michael Chiklis, Mary Shelley, Shirley Booth, who played Hazel
the maid.
Hazel the maid. And friend of mine on Facebook, Kelly Webb. August 31st, James Coburn, Zach Ward, who played Scott Farkas in The Christmas Story, and Itzhak Perlman. And I've been fond of telling the story of when I met Itzhak Perlman when I was like 12 or 13. And also on August 31st, Amakari Punkielli, who's an opera composer. He composed...
the big one's La Gioconda.
La Gioconda, where we get the Dance of the Hours. Dance of the Hours that's been used in numerous places.
Most famously, the movie Fantasia.
Yes, with the Hyacinth Hippo and Ben Alligator.
And Mademoiselle Umpanova.
Yes. Also on August 31st, Roger Dean.
Famed artist, architect, but I think everybody probably knows him best from the work that he did for the classic Yes albums in the 70s.
Yeah. Also on August 31st, Russ Emanuel. So that's why we did his little guest bumper up there. Happy birthday, Russ. September 1st, Bern Gorman, who made his...
his big thing was Torchwood.
Yeah,
originally.
big thing was Torchwood.
But then he was also in the Pacific Rim movies.
Yes. Also Lily Tomlin, Edgar Rice Burroughs, and Johann Pachelbel.
Another composer.
Yes, another composer who is famed for the
canon.
Pachelbel canon, although Brendan would argue with us and call it a ground or a round. Or
but
the art of the ground round.
Art of the
no, that's P.D. Kubach.
No.
P.D. Kubach.
P.D. Kubach is responsible for that.
Pachelbel. September 2nd, Guy Laliberté, who is the founder of Cirque du Soleil, and Chris McAuliffe. Keanu Reeves, Facebook friend and fellow podcaster Scott Tyler, and Matt Jurgens. Happy birthday, Matt.
Yes.
And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me.
No, we
that's
did it.
for sure.
We did it
How
ourselves.
much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com?
Tastes just like
it's
chicken.
Just a
It's the
part domain name.
name.
They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama. Technorama. Is that it?
Yeah,
Technorama?
Technorama.
Yeah. Here we go. And it's time now for everybody's favorite.
Oh, yes.
The favorite music of Ben.
Right. So, starting off with episode 182, some comments from there, and it comes from Arkle. And in episode 182, we had this little conversation about how the Oscars were adding a new category for most popular. And he says the Oscars need to add categories for stunt work, performers, and coordinators. People have died doing this job, but it still doesn't get enough respect. And then he kind of actually names a few people that I passed on, most specifically for Deadpool 2. And I think you're right. I mean, I believe they do get some kind of mention in the in memoriam, but I think as a it's not a bad category.
Yeah.
I think you might be onto something there. And then he continues on. He says, proud as I am of the Incorrect Voyager Quotes blog, I'm thinking it might be time to switch the promo to that of my YouTube channel. My views have actually taken a hit since the last boost way back in April. After all, I already bought the set for Season 3 of Shameless Cash Grab earlier than I planned, but Mill Creek discontinued the set and Amazon had literally one copy left in stock. And I got 4 episodes of Rants vs. Zombies up on the channel already. The channel is growing, albeit slowly, since I fell down the Star Trek Online rabbit hole. Well, Arkle, Brian, friend, you'd be happy to know that we're already doing that.
Yes.
Yes.
I picked it up and did it the very next week.
That's right. And
that's an old piece of feedback.
Yes. Well, we have stockpiled a bit.
Yes.
So this one, we're talking about old. My goodness.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
This is for a review that I wrote 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Two.
Okay. B&B, a fictional gay thriller in a factual world. And this was something that we got and we helped push to have shown at Horrible Imaginings.
And it won there.
It won there for Best Feature. And we continue to get hits on our website for this review, which I find amazing. And somebody just a couple of weeks ago, someone named Michael, wrote, just finished watching this. What an excellent movie and really leaves food for thought afterward.
Yeah.
Wow.
You're still getting hits on old stuff.
Well, this is the one that
Especially
amazes me.
this one, B&B, you know, that review for B&B, it continues to get hits.
It's the
And
gift
I
that
don't-
keeps on giving, so I'm
I
not
don't know
going
where
to
they're
complain.
coming. I'm not complaining. I just wonder where they're
amazing.
coming from. It's
Well, I mean,
odd.
this comment clearly indicates it's not bots. People are actually surfing over and they're looking at the review.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how it's showing up in their search, I don't know, but I'm not questioning it. I'm grateful. And then, lastly, we have a comment from Tommy Cannon. This is in regards to new sushi, morsels of news from Japan and beyond. And
By our friend
Hamish Downey. And he did a little entry about paper masks that were designed by Yuri Yasugi. And Tommy Cannon says, I love those folded paper masks. There's an engineer/artist from Ireland called Paper Pet Shop that makes mask designs in that same similar style, but those Japanese pieces hit it out of the park. Actually, Yuri is in Taiwan. Actually, he's a model in Taiwan and Shanghai.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, go figure. But, yes, I took a look at those masks myself, Tommy, and I thought they were amazing. So if anybody out there wants to know what Tommy's talking about, we'll have the links for everything that we've covered so far, all the feedback, including for the issue number 24 of New Sushi by Hamish, and you can actually find that little article that he has about the paper masks by Yuri, so you can see it all there. And that's the feedback for today.
That's it for the feedback. We want to hear from you, our listeners. You are important to us. Let us know what you think about this show or the articles that we run on the website. We'd be happy to have that feedback as well. You can leave comments on our Facebook page where we publish all of our articles as well as the webcast, and you can like our page. You can even comment on our YouTube episodes or at tggeeks.com directly on this episode or on any of the articles, and you could receive a shout out on a future episode. We also have a listener feedback line. If you want to call us and leave your comment, we could play that on air. Call 469-TG-Geeks. That is 469-844-3357. And remember, please play nice.
Yes, the force is strong with the Two Gay Geeks webcast.
I didn't know that piece of music actually had dynamics like that.
It does.
Amazing.
Didn't you know?
Yes, especially when you get to play conductor with the soundboard.
Yes, exactly.
So I got a couple of things I want to talk on. This one I was actually really excited about, and I want to thank my friend Darren Anderson, who lives in England. He's the one who brought this to my attention. Now, Keith and I are avid Doctor Who fans, especially of the classic stuff. That's really our bread and butter. We love classic Doctor Who. And that, for me, includes the Big Finish catalog. I personally am crazy about the Big Finish stuff because it really feels like, well, A, you're listening to old-time radio in the fact that it's a radio drama.
Yeah.
But I love that it actually has the vibe and feel of those classic stories of Doctor Who.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, they're like in 4 parts. They're roughly 20-some-odd minutes each. They get the classic actors to come back. And when they can't, they'll get a voice actor to actually come and do the part. I love it. I've been going through a whole bunch that a friend of mine gave me on CD. I ripped them all and put them on my iPhone. I've listened to them daily, and I just love them to death. They're fantastic. So, why do I bring this up? Because Big Finish will be celebrating 20 years with a huge Doctor Who audio crossover event. Now, yes. This will be in 2019. They're going to be celebrating 20 years of creating Doctor Who stories on audio with a huge audio crossover event. It's called The Legacy of Time.
The Legacy of Time.
Yeah, and now check 6 hour. No, let me say that again. 6 1-hour long stories. So there'll be 1 hour long stories, 6 of them.
So that's 6 hours.
Basically, yes, 6 hours, which we will see, but they're all going to be individual stories.
I'm just teasing you.
Is that it? Oh.
Yes.
Okay. And anyway, we will be seeing characters from the entire history of Doctor Who crossing paths, some for the very first time. Alex Kingston is coming back as River Song.
Oh.
She's going to meet her predecessor, another time-traveling archaeologist, Professor Bernice Summerfield, played by Lisa Bowerman. Kate Stewart, who is that character is the daughter of the Brigadier, and she's played by Gemma Redgrave. She's coming back to do one. She's going to be traveling back in time to classic unit stories, and she's going to meet the third Doctor, who's going to be voiced by Tim Treloar. And I've heard him. He does a scary John Pertwee.
Wow.
As well as Katie Manning coming back to do Jojo Grant.
Jojo Grant.
Also, Countermeasures team from the 1988's Remembrance of the Daleks will be reuniting... let me say that again. Will be reunited with Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, as well as Ace by Sophie Aldred, and Colin Baker's Sixth Doctor. Now, wow. Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy in the same episode?
Yeah, interesting.
Ooh, combustible is the word that comes to my mind.
Combustibility.
Yes. As well as his companion, Charlotte Poller. I love Charlotte. She's a character that they created for these Big Finish audios. She is a fantastic character. I absolutely adore her, and it's India Fisher, so I love that. Once again, they will meet Detective Inspector Patricia Menzies by Anna Hope in a police procedural like no other. And then they get to go to Gallifrey. Elsewhere, we enter the Time War. The Doctors we will meet there, and there will be plenty of Easter eggs. The artwork on this is fantastic. There's Paul McGann, Colin Baker, Tom Baker. I mean, everybody you could possibly imagine going back. I mean, this is going to be one really exciting Big Finish production. The 6 stories include Life in Ruins, The Split Infinitive, The Sacrifice of Joe Grant. The 4th one doesn't have a title yet. It's just simply called Episode 4. And the 5th one is The Avenues of Possibility, and the 6th one is Collision Course. I guess there's a whole synopsis. Time is collapsing. Incidents of temporal chaos and devastation are appearing throughout the many lives of the Doctor and his friends. Fallout from one terrible disaster. The Doctor must save history itself, and he will need all the help he can get. The truth is revealed, and will take more than one Doctor to save the day. The cast includes Tom Baker, Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Paul McGann, Sylvester McCoy, Alex Kingston, Lisa Bowerman, Sophie Aldred, Simon Williams, Pamela Salem, Karen Gledhill, Hugh Ross, Tim Treloar, Katie Manning, Gemma Redgrave, Ingrid Oliver, India Fisher, Anna Hope, Lala Ward, and Louise Jameson.
What?
Yes! We get Romana.
What?
And we get Leela.
Wow.
Yeah. I tell you, can you see why I geeked out on this?
Wow, that is incredible.
I am so excited about this. So we'll have the link for this. There's more to this story. There's some great artwork that is designed to help promote it. We'll have the link for this in the show notes for this episode. Please, by all means, check it out. I'm excited. I can't wait for this thing to come out because I'm going to be spending the big bucks to buy it.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating.
I think it's going to be great fun. I can't wait for it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Now, on to something a little unusual. Jessica Jones creator Melissa Rosenberg. She's leaving Jessica Jones.
What?
Yep. She got a very lucrative multi-year deal for Warner Brother Television. Now, I don't know. Let's see what the article has to say. Everybody's waiting on release date for Jessica Jones season 3. But the fact that Melissa is leaving could put that all into jeopardy.
Yeah, interesting.
It was reported a competitive bidding situation that she will migrate over to Warner Brothers Television, which topped Netflix's bids to retain her, nabbing a multi-year overall deal that's said to be in the 8-figure range. 8-figure range. That's what the story reads here. I'm reading this off of Den of Geek.
Wow.
8 figures? Well, okay. To me, I can't help but wonder if that's a typo.
That's $10 million.
Well,
I mean, 10 million's 8 figures.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. Hey, screw that glass ceiling.
Exactly.
I'm happy for her.
No kidding.
I mean,
That's a
especially
great
if she
thing.
can bring in quality. And I've been rewatching, or I shouldn't say rewatching. I've picked up on watching Jessica Jones season, this latest season 2, and I'm just loving it. So if she can really bring a lot of that kind of quality, it doesn't have to have the kind of gravitas, but if she can bring that same kind of quality to Warner Brothers Television, I'm going to be thrilled about it. Anyway, Rosenberg will be tasked with creating and developing new small screen projects for the indie subsidiary studio. It's a tremendous opportunity and certainly makes her a female success story in an industry in which that's still few and far between. So where does this leave Netflix and Jessica Jones? In the same place, at least for now, since Rosenberg will remain credited as the show's creator and executive producer for at least one last time on season 3, which did begin production in New York City back in June. So, so they have gone forward with it. However, after that, the fate of Jessica Jones season 4 remains up in the air. At best, season 3 could arrive by mid-2019. After that, should Netflix grant a timely renewal, a prospective season 4, which is not a given, it could at best arrive mid to late 2020. By then, the overall Marvel TV playing field could be entirely different.
No kidding.
Who knows? The industry is completely changing. Marvel is constantly reinventing themselves as they go into Phase 4 and Phase 5. They may decide they want to just completely abandon the entire TV end of things at this point. It's hard to say.
Mistake, but,
well, I think a lot of people are kind of unhappy with what's going on in terms of whether things are fully connected or not. And also there is the erosion of Disney's relationship with Netflix because Disney's going to start their own streaming service.
Well, they'll just pull it over there.
Yeah, so a lot of things are really in flux right now.
Yeah.
So who's to say whether it'll actually come back? I would like to see Jessica Jones come back only because I like where her character arc is headed at this present time. It's very exciting to see where she's going at right now. So anyway, we'll have the link for that story as well in the show notes for this episode.
Yeah, speaking of Jessica Jones, we want to talk about mental health, as we usually do.
That's a good segue. Actually, it's really apt.
We really seriously need to think about mental health awareness. There's just, if you need help, get the help that you need.
The help is there.
The help is there. Please do get help.
Yes, and the other thing is, don't feel like there's something wrong with you because you're having a problem. You're not flawed. You're not a mistake. You're not a screw up. Everybody has problems. Everybody's got things that they're trying to deal with. It's a difficult world out there. There is no shame in looking for any kind of mental health.
Get the help you need.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
And for those who only listen to our webcast, we do have a website at tggeeks.com where we run all sorts of interesting content, and some
emphasis
of the
on the word interesting.
Interesting, yes. We're constantly coming up with something different, something new. So check out the website. This last week we had a bunch of stuff, and Ben's going to go down the list.
Starting on Sunday, August 19th, there was issue number 10 of Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician. This is a cartoon strip that Tommy Cannon illustrates, and it's a bit warped, but wow, it's tons of fun.
It is tons of fun.
It's great fun. I mean, if you like some of the Sunday funnies, this is kind of like right up that alley. Yeah, but with a twist.
It's kind of it's got that Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Kind of warped sense of humor without the politics.
It's great fun. It's it's a hoot.
Yeah.
And then on Monday, the 20th, we had episode number 183 of the TG Geeks webcast. On August 22nd, that'd be Tuesday, we gave a press release about how the movie Prodigy landed on Netflix.
Yeah, we interviewed Alex and, can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
The two co-directors.
Of the movie.
Prodigy.
And ran a review on that.
Yeah,
so yes,
exactly.
It's coming to Netflix. We're really happy that it made the move.
Yeah.
And then we also did another press release about how John Billingsley from Star Trek Enterprise is beaming into the uncharted regions.
Yes, he's going to be in an episode of from Uncharted Regions called Haven, and we're actually producers on that episode, so be sure and check that out on our website, and be sure to check it out whenever it comes out.
Yes, really excited about that. On Wednesday, Jeannie Koch returned with another old classics newly reviewed, this time for the 1945 movie The Hidden Eye. And then on Thursday, there was a review, How True Love Lives and Dies in With a Kiss, I Die.
How about that? And we just
spoke to Ronnie about that, yeah.
And it's actually being released tomorrow
on video on demand.
Yep.
Yes, and I really recommend checking it out. I mean, if you're unsure, go ahead, read the review, but I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I really did. And if anything, the cinematography alone.
The beauty of the Greek islands. Oh my gosh.
I know.
And the characters.
Oh, the two main actors are breathtakingly phenomenal. They are just brilliant young ladies. I could not speak higher of what they were able to turn out. And again, the cinematography is beautiful. I said in my review that if Ronnie decided to give up making movies, he could easily have a career making doing travelogues because he knows how to photograph the locale. And then on Friday, we had issue number 25 of News Sushi, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond, from the great Hamish Downey. And also, there was another review from Ro. She comes back with Julia Naked, a romance that successfully crosses the digital divide. And then on Saturday, the 25th, Keith came out with a review for the restaurant El Chorro, how it is an Arizona legend for good reason. Yeah. And there's some nice photos in that review, too, including some of the food we ate.
Some of the food, yeah. You can find all these at tggeeks.com as well as entries on our Facebook page. Please visit and comment on those things. As always, we have a few follow-up items. Check out the widgets on the side of the page. There are a number of books and causes we support. For example, Beth Cato's Roar of Sky, the third in the Blood of Earth series. That's out there for pre-order. And you can order The Last Son by Katie Edwards, his first novel, or you can pre-order The Hanged Man.
Do we have a widget for that pre-order on there?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, both of them are on there.
Yeah, I know that Mr. Edwards has been tweeting like mad that he's working really hard to crank out the best sequel he knows how.
And as everybody knows, we are supporters of Arizona Opera and hope that you will be too. Their season begins in October, and you can check them out at azopera.org. Now, the things that they have playing next year are Maria de Buenos Aires.
I'm so excited.
I am very excited about that. That's in Phoenix, September 28th, 29th, and 30th, and Tucson, October 6th and 7th. And then Charlie Parker's Yardbird. That's in Phoenix, November 9th.
Is that the one that's kind of based on New Orleans jazz?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, I'm excited about that one, too.
And in Tucson, November 17th and 18th. La Traviata, January 25th, 26th, and 27th. And in Phoenix and in Tucson, February 2nd and 3rd. And then Silent Night, about the truce during World War I.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that.
Could be interesting. In Phoenix at March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and Tucson, March 9th and 10th. And the season closes in April, and it's The Marriage of Figaro.
A Mozart classic.
Yes, April 5th, 6th, and 7th in Phoenix, and April 13th and 14th in Tucson.
Given how well Arizona Opera handled comedy with Barbara of Seville, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Marriage of Figaro.
Absolutely. And we want to encourage you to check out our restaurant reviews. We've added a new category.
Yeah,
on the
we
website.
didn't intend to fall into this, but it
we
just kind of happened.
Kind of fell into restaurant reviews. So check them out. We'll have those on the website. I'm going to update some of the links for the past reviews that we've done into the new restaurant reviews category. And as everybody knows, we're supporters of independent creators, huge supporters of independent creators, whether they're filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please consider supporting those independent creators by buying their stuff and supporting them and
Buying their stuff.
tweeting their information and checking them out on Facebook and wherever else they can be found and buying their stuff.
Absolutely.
And next weekend, actually, we're going to be at CocoCon, and that's August the 31st through September the 2nd.
Right.
At the Hilton, up at...
It's near Metro.
in Metro, yeah. I didn't have all the specifics here.
Special shout out to Doctor Who Talking Who on Twitter. They publish the Doctor Who Fancast Guide that republishes much of our content. You can find them by going to Twitter, searching at Talking Who. Also, there is Michael C. Burgess. He puts out the Bionics Semi-Eternal Aggregator. And once again, republishes much of our content. You can find him on Twitter, searching at Byronic, Byronik. And then you've heard some feedback from Arkle in this episode. He has the Arkle Times Post Dispatch News, which, as always, republishes our content. You can find him on Twitter, at Arkle, Arkle. And, of course, he's got the Shameless Cash Grab. He's on YouTube. All you need to do is look up Arkle Studios. That's one word, Arkle Studios. And so, yeah, look there. Check that out.
He does some interesting reviews of sets of DVDs and movies and wonderful.
Yeah, we did an interview with him not long ago, and he
yeah.
talked about some of that stuff, and he's got some really interesting content that he likes to review on. Also, special shout out to the Facebook group, The Gay Geek, for allowing us to post not only our episodes there, but any relevant stories or articles. So, yay, The Gay Geek. We have to give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves. He's the one who gave us permission to share our content there. So thank you, Jeremiah, and thank you, Gay Geek. You can find him by going to facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. You will have to request access to it, but it's a very friendly group, and so long as you know the famous two words, play nice.
Yep.
So long as you're playing nicely, they'll allow you in without any question. Doesn't matter what your walk-in life is.
Yep. And we want to thank everybody that's clicked on our Amazon ads, whether you can find them at the bottom of each page and on the right-hand side as widgets. So we want to thank you for clicking on those and buying stuff through our links. It helps us kind of pay the bills. We may actually get paid from Amazon. Who knows?
Oh, my word.
And lastly, we are now on Spotify, and you can check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. And please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, up next week, that is...
That's CocoCon.
That's CocoCon. Hopefully, we are going to have... we'll have talked to Beth Cato, and she can tell us about Roar of Sky, and if not, we'll have something else. But we probably will have Beth.
Most likely Beth.
So
I know
we're
we
gonna
talked
sit
about
down
having
and-
her in the studio for
Yeah,
that.
we're going to sit down and talk to her, and we'll have some other things on the website, not as specific webcast episodes, but we're going to do, I think I want to try to do a Concast episode for every day of CocoCon, so, and have it on the website. So check it out. Check out tggeeks.com, and we'll be there at CocoCon next weekend. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page of different things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. From TG Squared Studios, I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.